Who likes butter? Now recall a time recently when you felt lucky. Mary Oliver, the great poet, in one of her poems, speaks of God like butter and good luck. I wonder where luck shows up in Matthew's gospel today. Did the slave really feel God's forgiveness from deep within his heart, or did he feel lucky? In this season of creation, we are also focusing on the environment, and thus the second reading was not traditional. It was from Terry Tempest Williams. She is an American writer, educator, conservationist, and activist. I chose that. I need to come clean. Unlike Su Ying, the earth and the environment I took for granted for much of my young life. The earth brought, or rather my outside life brought, ticks, poison ivy, I grew up on the East Coast, mosquitoes and such. I did not like getting dirty. I preferred to be inside with the TV or driving my car. The quiet and the wild earth made me uncomfortable. Awe in creation was remote for me. Almost 30 years ago, I visited Lake Tahoe for the first time. I skied heavenly, and one of the runs feels like you will ski exactly into the blue water. It was heavenly. This was an entry to the awe of nature and the vastness of the good earth. Today we hear in the Gospel Matthew telling his Jewish audience to forgive 77 times. Then he tells a parable. And if you're like me, parables are confusing, kind of like the jokes I don't get. Part of my lay preaching class centers around exploring the scriptures in different ways. One way they instructed us was to read the text in a new place. So I have this viewpoint in Lake Tahoe that I like to sit and pray at. So several weeks ago, I went to this spot with its amazing view, and I read the text. Well, honestly, nothing happened. No great insights, no writing on the wall, nothing. Somewhat disappointing. A great silence. I decided to try another way of exploring the text, and it's called Ignatian contemplation. The gist of it is that you imagine yourself in the scene. You could be one of the characters, a fly on the wall, you yourself imposed in the story. There are many possibilities. The intention is that you are curious and open to see or hear God in another way. In the parable, I tried to imagine being the slave, the one who got his debt wiped clean, and then he turned around and went to his fellow slave to get him to repay the debt. As I imagined being the slave, I thought and felt my relationship with the Lord was one of good luck. A get out of jail free card. I felt this luck as all my debts were absolved. It was magical, but I wasn't sure it would happen again. My contemplation ended because I started wondering how one moves beyond seeing God and forgiveness as good luck and into mercy, wild mercy. I was stuck. I sat long and hard in the quiet, thinking of a time in my spiritual path I felt forgiveness, deep forgiveness. What came to me is my centering prayer practice. So stay with me. I have always had a vigorous prayer practice, so the thought of just sitting in silence felt inadequate, but I decided to give it a try. This is a silent prayer practice, no words or doing anything, nothing. Centering prayer revolves around sitting in silence for 20 minutes. And if you get distracted by thoughts, you say your sacred word to bring you back to God. For many years, I would rate this practice. Not good today, too many thoughts, thinking about my grocery list, the kid I was worried about, whatever. I would feel shame that I was not doing it perfectly and was failing God. When I would tell my spiritual director, she would repeat the words of Thomas Keating about distracting thoughts. And if you've ever heard Thomas Keating speak, he has a very jovial, humble voice. Well, that is wonderful. That means you had 1,000,000 occasions to return to God. I would hear this and believe God was forgiving me, but I had not accepted it in my bones. I didn't feel it in my body. Then over time, this wild mercy settled in me. I felt forgiveness deep in my heart. I don't know when it exactly happened, but now I feel joy in just showing up with God with nothing, knowing she is expecting nothing and just delighting in my presence. This is how mercy feels, I think. It is gradually absorbed in our body and accepted, usually with wonder and awe. When mercy enters the scene, there's no retribution, no I told you so, no you should have known better. It's something that does not make sense in the head space. It can only be felt over time, in quiet, without distractions. Maybe I needed to forgive myself 77 times, over and over again, before it settled deep within. One thing I have heard is that God's first language is silence. I believe it was St. John of the Cross. The earth is quiet. God, I'm thinking, gives us this quiet creation as a path to invite us to linger. And this time, God speaks to us in silence. God uses this creation as a vehicle to love. It helped me move beyond butter and good luck. So that sitting at my viewpoint in Lake Tahoe was not in vain. It was God loving me in the silence with wild mercy and encouraging me to delight in creation and linger gently. To protect what is wild is to protect what is gentle. Sitting in silence without noise or distractions and waiting helped me to hear what God wanted me to hear, which was, my dear, you cannot tell someone about mercy. It can only be felt. These are not my words. I wish they were, but I'm trying to work with them and embody them. It's from L.M. Montgomery, Anne of Green Gables. Why must people kneel down to pray? If I really wanted to pray, I'd tell you what I'd do. I'd go out in a great big field, all alone, or in the deep, deep woods, and I'd look up at the sky, up, 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 into that lovely blue sky that looks as if there was no end to its blueness. And I just feel a prayer. So your take-home question is, where are you in your relationship with butter and good luck? And where are you in accepting this wild mercy or feeling it?